Orange County there in Central Florida. And they put me through all the paces on what was involved, and I became state section director for the Kennedy Space Center area, Brevard County, Florida, in 1992. What better place to be a UFO investigator? One of the most top secret clearance areas in the country. You know, they got an airspace that's totally controlled, so they say. But amazingly, over the years, we investigated UFOs over their airspace. So that gets quite interesting. So I had a good area to be involved in. We put together monthly meetings, which was required by this, you know, as a state section director for the public to attend in our county. We used the public library. It was open to the public. We wanted to be able to share with the public what MUFON was doing and some of the cases we were working on, and just get them up to date on UFO information. I also had to put together a team of investigators, and it wasn't long before I had 5 good field investigators working under me. And we put the word out there through the sheriff's department, the police department, the fire department, and the news that if anybody reported a UFO sighting, that we would be glad to take the report and follow up on it, because, you know, they don't really care to do that. They don't know how to handle it. So we were there for them. This is what MUFON does. MUFON is the largest grassroots scientific-based organization in the world today. There's over 5,000 members of investigators, consultants. You know, we have a lot of tools at our fingertips as MUFON investigators to be able to follow up on reports and do the investigations. As we held our monthly meetings, though, and we were doing sighting reports, we did a number of them over the first couple of years, we started to take a look at what was happening here with the UFO picture. And, you know, doing sighting reports, we found after a couple of years of it, it's like chasing your tail. You know? How many sighting reports is it going to take till we figure out what this is? They've been going on since the 40s and 50s. They still don't have an absolute answer to what this phenomenon's about. And looking at the people coming to our meetings, we were hearing stories from people who were saying they were abductees or contactees. And we started listening to them, and they were saying that they had been in contact with these entities that are behind the UFO sightings. Well, we talked about this as investigators, and we said, you know, we can continue to do sightings forever. They've been going on forever, and we may never get to the truth with them. We need to get closer to the source. Well, the contactees and abductees saying they had been in contact with the entities, that's close to the source. So we decided to move our research closer to that source and get into abduction research and try to find out, being closer to the source, what this phenomenon was about. The only problem with that at the time is that MUFON wasn't set up to work with the abduction experiencers. Okay, they're doing scientific-based investigations on UFO sightings. They really didn't have a format to working with the abductions. And we had to kind of separate ourselves to be able to do that. We couldn't do it under the name of MUFON because we had no real guidelines except for what we've been taught as being investigators to do interviews and research and how to document stuff. So we decided to set up a separate entity organization called CE4 Research. And CE4, Close Encounter of the Fourth Kind. That's what that stands for. You got first kind, second kind, third kind. Of course, you've all seen the movie The Third Kind. Fourth kind is abductions. So that's what we titled our group. Even from the beginning, the information was always available to MUFON. We never kept it separate. We always offered it if they wanted to see it. But like I said, they weren't really set up at the time to be involved with that. So we started interviewing the abductees and the contactees that we had come into the meetings over the next couple of years, started documenting all the information. And as we were doing this, we were also learning as much as we could from other researchers who were in this field, the big names, you know, that Bud Hopkins, Whitley Strieber, John Mack, you know, they had done extensive research already. And because the abductees and contactees that we were encountering seemed to have a lot of personal issues, we didn't want to do any more damage to these people by working with them and interviewing them. So we needed to learn as much about them as we could. So we consumed all of the research we could get our hands on from the researchers that were well known that had been working on this for some years. We wanted to be prepared as we went into this so that we wouldn't cause any more harm to these people than what they had gone through already. And I want to give you a little idea of what the abduction experience is about. And one of the best examples of this was written by the late Dr. Carla Turner, who was actually an experiencer herself. And she put together a really good piece to take you through and show you exactly what these experiencers go through. If abduction reports can be believed, and there is no reason to doubt the honesty of the reporters, the abduction phenomenon includes the following details. Aliens can alter our perception of our surroundings. Aliens can control what we think we see. They can appear to us in any number of guises and shapes. Aliens can take us, our consciousness, out of our physical bodies, disable our control of our bodies, install one of their own entities, and use our bodies as vehicles for their own activities before returning our consciousness to our bodies. Aliens can be present with us in an invisible state and can make themselves only partially visible. Abductees receive marks on their bodies other than the well-known scoop and straight-line scars. These other marks include single punctures, multiple punctures, large bruises, 3- and 4-fingered claw marks, and triangles of every possible sort. Female abductees often suffer gynecological problems after their alien encounters, and sometimes these problems lead to cysts, tumors, cancer of the breast and uterus, and hysterectomies. Aliens can take body fluids from our necks, spines, blood veins, joints such as knees and wrists, and other places. They also inject unknown fluids into various parts of our bodies. A surprising number of abductees suffer from serious illnesses they didn't have before their encounters. They have led to surgery, debilitation, and even death from causes that doctors can't identify. Some abductees experience a degeneration of their mental, social, and spiritual well-being. Excessive behavior frequently erupts, such as drug abuse, alcoholism, overeating, and promiscuity. Strange obsessions develop and cause the disruption of normal life and the destruction of personal relationships. Aliens show a great interest in adult sexuality, child sexuality, and in inflicting physical pain on abductees. Abductees recall being instructed and trained by aliens. This training may be in the form of verbal or telepathic lessons, slideshows, or actual hands-on instruction in the operation of alien technology. Abductees report being taken to facilities in which they encounter not only aliens but normal-looking humans, sometimes in military uniforms, working with the alien captors. Abductees often encounter more than one sort of alien during an experience, not just the grays. Every possible combination of gray, reptoid, insectoid, blonde, and widow's peak have been seen during single abductions aboard the same craft or in the same facility. Abductees report being taken to underground facilities where they see grotesque hybrid creatures, nurseries of hybrid humanoid fetuses,